Hey folks, hope you're all doing well and welcome to episode 44 of Recommended Album to Review. Alright, so for this week I got a band that I never heard of, an album that I never heard of, but some pretty interesting music. The band is called Guenna, Guenna, and the album is called Peak of Janara. And I believe this is their only full-length album as of now. Now, these guys are described as stoner rock. Yeah, there's a bit of that. There's a little bit of maybe psychedelia in there. I hear a lot of prog, but they're just a heavy rock band with prog leanings is kind of how I would describe it. Members of the band, and if I haven't mentioned already, they're from Sweden. You've got Oscar Johnson on bass and vocals. You've got Robert Madsen on drums and vocals. Victor Jernell on guitars, and Albin Gustafsson on guitars. There is one song that has a female vocalist in it, which they don't mention any female vocals, so I have no idea who that is. But it's pretty interesting music. The album is pretty good. It's one of those albums that's kind of front loaded. It starts off really great, and then it's sort of kind of, especially near the end, it starts to tail off a little bit. But anyway, let's go through the tracks. All right, the first track on the album is called Bonsai. Now, this for me is the best song on the whole record. It's just got a myriad of riffs that sort of intertwine, one going into the other. A really complex piece, a really complex arrangement. Like I said, it has some prog leanings at times, but just a banger, man. It's got some really good riffs, some really cool playing. It's one of those songs that kind of takes you on a ride. It's really, really good. And like I said, the best song on the album, first track, Bonsai. Then you get Dimension X. Now, Dimension X, they're using all the same guitar tones and everything else, almost so much, and the cuts are closely edited together that you almost don't know when Bonsai ends and Dimension X starts. And the reason for that, like I said, there's so many riffs that you don't know, or you gotta look twice. Oh, they're into the next song now. This one again has got some real prog leanings to it. There's some moments in this album where there's some really good interplay between the rhythm guitars and the drums, and they get into some really odd time signatures, which is really interesting. This is a pretty good track too. Not as good as Bonsai, but still pretty good. Then it goes into Glaspinary Grove, which is just a really short kind of ambient, kind of menacing riff vibe to it anyway. That it's almost like just a break between the first two songs and the rest of the album. It's a very short piece. I think it's only like 2 minutes long. And that's a perfect lead into the next track, Dark Descent, which has a female vocal. This is a lot of light and shade, very menacing, kind of like there's a doomy vibe on this one for sure. Not a bad track. The females, I mean, there's a male singer on the rest of the record. There is some flute in here too. I should mention there's flute that pops up in a couple of tracks, but not a bad song at all. What's nice about it is it's kind of a departure from the first two. They're using some same instrumentation, but they're using different tones and things, which is nice, so you don't hear the same sound from track to track. All right, then you got Ordric Major, which is just kind of a heavy lumbering riffs, with the vocals are almost like chanting vocals, at times. It's a pretty good track. There's some pretty good riffs that are built in there. There's a lot of different riffs in every song. It's not like it's one riff and that's it. They, like I said earlier, they kind of weave different riffs into it and have some pretty complex arrangements, and this is another one of those examples. Pretty good track. Okay, then we go into Weed Whacker. Now this one's got the big heavy riffs, the big guitars on it again. It's got a central riff. The song is kind of built around this one. I don't know. It doesn't have the sort of the exploration of some of the other songs on here. It doesn't have that many, you know, weaving riffs in and out. You know, because the thing is, when you get the weaving riffs, if you don't like one riff, there's another one that's coming up that'll just knock your socks off. But yeah, this one is one of the weaker tracks for me. I'm not crazy about this one, Weed Whacker. And you got Wizardry. Yeah, this one doesn't do a lot for me either. It's, you know, very kind of doomy, sludgy kind of riffing. Yeah, this one doesn't do a lot for me. Like I said earlier, like the record kind of starts on a high and then it sort of drops off. And when you get to about, you know, the Weed Whackers, sorry, Wisery, that for me is sort of where the record just starts to sound samey, you know. It's like they used up all their really good riffs in the first couple of tracks, and then the rest are kind of starts to tail off a bit. And the record ends with Genna's Lullaby, which is like an acoustic number with the singer and that female singer kind of doing a duet here. You know, kind of a mellow change up to the all the heavy tracks that came ahead of it. So what do I think about this record? It has its moments that are really cool, and you know you're banging your head, and the riffs are great, and they're like, you know, just big. Some of the riffs are just those big dumb kind of riffs you want to, you know, just bang your head against the wall. But then you know they get really complex at times. There's a prog element at times. You know they get really interesting. Like I said, the arrangements on some of these songs are really complex. But like I said, the album starts off strong, but you know it starts to tail off there a little bit towards the end. But yeah, there you go. I want to thank the subscriber that suggested this album to me. Um, but out of five, I probably give this somewhere. I'd probably give it about a 3 out of 5. You know, if every song was as good as Bonsai, this would be like 4.5, you know, or 5 maybe. But like I said, it kind of trails off a little bit. So, if you're new to the channel, folks, please consider liking, subscribing. I'm trying to hit the 5,000 subscriber mark by the end of the year. I'm at about 4,400 roughly at this moment. And a lot of folks that watch the channel do not subscribe. So please hit that subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime and it really helps out the channel. So thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you next Thursday at 7. Cheers.